everyone, I'm Anthony from AntLab Games and the Board Game Nexus, and we are on Sunday night. We've got a nice chat lined up for you. We're going to cover retail games this evening. Here joined by our lovely friends. We'll go around so everybody can introduce themselves. We'll start out with Gary.
Hey everybody, really looking forward to tonight and talking about some games that are coming to retail instead of just crowdfunding, since everybody's talking about crowdfunding. So I'm really interested in hearing this, especially with Essen coming out as this week. So there's a lot of good stuff coming out this week. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
All right, Branden, Lexi.
Hi, I'm Lexi.
And I'm Branden.
And we are
All Aboard Gamer. We're excited to be here again for a repeat, talking about retail, which is something we haven't done on our channel really yet. So I think this will be a nice different twist on, because everybody's talking about crowdfunding. So we're excited about this.
Yeah, and it's my first panel, so thanks for having me.
All right, welcome. Love to have you. Allie.
Yep, hi, I'm Allie. I'm from the Family Meeple, and I was on the last one as well, so thanks for inviting me back. I'm excited to talk about some retail games as well. There's lots of great stuff coming to retail, and hopefully to the U.S. retail side too pretty soon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Carlos.
Hey, it's Carlos from Beans and Dice Podcast. We're a podcast about how we game, and October is my month, is my birthday month. So this episode, hopefully wifey's watching. This is the one to watch when we talk about retail games coming out right about now that maybe I'm interested in. So looking forward to this. Let's go.
Sounds good. And my better half.
Oh, thanks, babe. We're like the end caps. I'm Francis with AntLab Games as well. And I'm excited because we have these discussions all the time in our kitchen. So I'm excited to not be talking about crowdfunding, actually talking about some stuff that we can get at the store. So
yeah. So we have a lot of titles lined up tonight, and I think a lot of really exciting titles, some that I don't know a ton about and some that I hold near and dear to my heart. So I'm very excited to talk about them tonight as well. We are going to start off right off the bat with a game that I believe Allie suggested. It is called Revive. So I will pull that up, and then I'm going to hand it over to Allie. All right, there you go. Revive.
All right. Yeah, Revive is a game that I believe is being released at Essen. It's from a Porta game, so I expect it won't be stateside until 2023 based on kind of past history. It takes them a little while to get over to the States, but this is a game that's from the same design team, or at least half the same design team as The Magnificent and Santa Maria and Trails of Tucana. So that's really the main reason that I was excited about it to start out with. It also has lots of mechanisms in games that I like. It has asymmetrical player powers. It has multi-use cards. It has dual layer player boards where you can add different kind of bonus tiles or chits to make your actions stronger, and you can end up chaining your actions and being able to kind of hit bonuses and then do more on your turns and really, get some massive turns coming out. So it looks really fun. It doesn't include any direct conflict, but you are going out and exploring the surface of the planet after your tribes people have been essentially living underground for, I think, centuries is what it sounded like in the description. But yeah, it looks great. I love the cover art. I love the look of the kind of post-apocalyptic coming back out afterwards and trying to rebuild your civilization. So this is one that I will definitely be picking up when it hits retail here in the States.
I think this is going to be one of the big hits. Like, what last year was Arc Nova. I think this has potential to be the big hit. I was talking to my buddies David Waybright and Ryan over at Man vs. Meeple, and David, he usually doesn't. He wasn't too sure about the game for his first play, but he said the second game he loved it. In fact, it's going to be way high, I think, on both of their top 10 lists when it comes out. But he was telling me more. I mean, some of these cards have dual uses. There's like even a kind of a campaign stuff where you can like unlock stuff for future games. There's just a lot going on. It's probably going to be more toward that medium heavy. But if you understand some of the mechanics, this game does look really, really good.
Yeah, we just watched the Board Game Ramblings review of this just in preparation for this video, just to have an idea.
It looks really good.
It looks really good. It was a 9 and a 10 for them.
Mm-hmm.
They said that this is a smash hit.
They said that the gameplay really ramps up at the end, and you kind of have this frenzied feeling. And I love when games have that arc. So I'm kind of looking at this a little bit more closely now. So
yeah, this looks right up our alley, for sure.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
really, really digging the components on this with regards to the player board. The way you are slotting in the tribe's boards into the sides of this player board and the cards having their own specific slots, that just tickles my organization. Like I like it. And then the player board having the recess spaces for the hexes as well as for the circle token markers. It just feels good knowing that things aren't going to be moving around depending on what's going on the tabletop.
Are these like tarot size cards too? Sorry.
Oh, they look standard.
I think so.
Oh, they do?
picture.
Okay.
Standard.
That is a very large player board, though. To be honest, when I first saw it, I thought that was the main board. This is probably going to be a big table hog, though. It's large. So in a 4-player game, you're going to need and the main board looks pretty big. Plus, if you notice there, like Carlos said, the player board has slots for tribal boards to like wing off of it. So it's not going to be. It's definitely going. They actually played it more. Board Game Ramblings played it more at 2. They said it plays fantastic at 2, and it was quick.
Wait. This is an individual's player board?
That is an individual's player board right there.
It's kind of half of it too. If you go to the
That's what I mean.
We're gonna need another room.
Yeah.
That's.
We're gonna need a bigger table.
Yeah.
I always think about how I'm going to film this whenever I see a game.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is going to be a tough one.
more camera.
But we'll make it work.
It looks
That
great
doesn't
though.
bother
It
me.
does. It looks good.
I feel like I can fit it for solo on my table just fine. And it does include solo out of the box.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now I'm hoping this gets here earlier, but right now Porta is saying basically January for this.
Yeah.
That's not terrible.
Got a few more months.
They're saying January.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll see any copies at PAX.
It'd be good if they got some early copies.
Going on my list.
Oh, that'd be really good. So that was Revive. Yeah, very excited. So yeah, add that to the list. We'll see if that makes PAX, because there are some games that do make it to PAX.
Yeah.
A little ahead of the curve, and if you know where to look, right? So we've stumbled across some like Essen releases at PAX in the past, and it was a nice surprise, because you don't expect it, right? You don't go there expecting to see those, and then somehow some people bring them.
There's a palette.
Yeah, I know somewhere there's a palette. All right, so that was Revive. Next we're going to jump into is called Birdwatcher. Not sure who brought that one. Anyone? Nobody bought. Somebody did, because I know I didn't bring up that.
Nobody's claiming it. That's funny.
Yeah.
So everybody just watched the Dice Tower review today.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So
Tom and Chris gave it a 6. I didn't pick this one, but I mean, if no one's going to claim it, it's definitely not a competitor to Wingspan from the looks of it. It's more just basic set collection. Some of the birds have like insects on them, so you can collect insect tokens, and you're basically making a photo journal. You're taking pictures of these birds, and part of the mechanisms, they actually, from what Tom, I remember, I'm getting this all from the video, but Tom basically said that the rule book says that they don't condone the behavior that is displayed in the game. For example, there's a clearing board, and then there's the jungle board. You can actually, quote, run into the jungle, scare the birds, and the idea is when you scare them, they spread their wings and you can get the pictures of them.
Okay.
But the publisher made it very clear that that's not the best, they're not condoning that kind of behavior. So I guess that's kind of a no-no. Just go running, screaming into the jungle. But I thought it was funny. I found it comical.
But I get points for doing it?
You get points for doing it.
We don't want you to do it.
Right. But we don't want you to. It's a game, they said. You can do it in the game, but in real life, that's not how you bird watch. That's bad behavior. Don't do that. You're causing them a lot of stress. But in the board game, have at it. But basically, you scare them from the jungle and they end up in the clearing. And the way that you do that manipulates who can take what and how, and trying to make sets and things. But Chris and Tom didn't really. I mean, they liked it. They said it was enjoyable, but it wasn't anything big for them. They scored it each a 6, which what does that mean? But Camilla really liked it. Camilla scored it an 8. it was just, she found it very charming. The artwork, though, was praised. It does look pretty.
Yeah.
But this is not a Wingspan competitor. They wanted to be very clear about that.
Yeah, I mean, just reading the description, it seems like it's a light game.
I wonder if it kind of reminds me on the same level, maybe of like Atelier or something, where instead of painting paintings, you're taking pictures of birds, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
I think
it's
we
like a
played
real.
It's just like kind of a set collection
Yep.
Yeah,
type of situation.
yeah. Those are hit or miss.
Getting a lot of these nature games, it seems like.
We go through phases.
Tales, yeah.
Right? Eventually, it'll cycle back to zombies, right?
Right. The next game in this series I heard is the Bird Experiment.
Is it?
I'm kidding. That's a joke.
Okay.
We could all reflect on our childhood when we all earned.
The birds, butterflies, or foxes, I think.
This, I hate saying this because it sounds mean. I'm sure somebody worked very hard on this, but this gives me the feel of early 2000s. I'm walking with my kid in Blockbuster trying to pick a movie, right? And then there's all those titles that are adjacent to the most recent Blockbuster movie.
Ah, yes.
Like trans robots, right?
Yeah.
Because Transformers just came out, and so it's
Or the
like
GoBots.
it's trying to GoBots or something.
GoBots.
Where the kid wants to grab it because it looks like the movie that's out.
Yeah.
So someone might see this and think, Wingspan, I heard it's awesome. Let me grab this because it's adjacent to it. Someone's trying to capitalize on it in that circle.
That's pretty funny.
It's pretty mean, but I'm sorry. Capitalism. You make money. Someone's going to make money.
Yeah.
Well, we are talking about retail, so this isn't crowdfunding, so it's going to sit on the shelf,
Exactly.
most likely next to Wingspan or in that general area.
And it'll probably be priced just below it.
Yeah.
So that mom and dad are like, well, I'll just get you this one.
Yeah, they were out of Wingspan, so we got you this one. It's close.
It's like that meme that you see. Hey, Mom, can I buy a Wingspan? Oh, we have that at home. And at home is Birdwatcher.
Yeah.
Sorry to all the people that put all the effort into Birdwatcher. I knew it took work. I'm jesting. All in jest. Much love.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I think that one was originally a Kickstarter. I remember seeing coverage from Before You Play, I think, for that one a while back. And they were very clear on the Kickstarter page, if I'm remembering this correctly, that it was not Wingspan. It didn't play like Wingspan, and it wasn't meant to be like a.
Like, why would you come out and
Because
really
it puts
feel the need
Wingspan in your mind. Like, that's a tactic.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
'cause
not Wingspan. Don't
no
consider
other
it
reason
Wingspan.
why you would feel the need to disclose that, right? Honestly,
But it's definitely, I mean, it's that same bird theme that, for me, I have Wingspan on my shelf, but the bird theme was actually a deterrent to me for Wingspan. For the longest time, I didn't really care to try it at all. And I didn't try it until it came to a game night at my local game group, and they said, anybody want to play Wingspan? And I said, well, I'll play it just to figure out what all the fuss was about, and loved it. But the theme for me was like a no-go, so that was one of the reasons with Birdwatcher that I just kind of passed on it, because I'm not big on the bird theme. But the artwork is just stunning.
it is. It's
That's beautiful.
prettier, I think, than Wingspan's art.
I think I want to know.
I would agree with that completely.
Psychological motivations on staying away from birds, Allie. Like, what happened? Tell me about your childhood.
I just don't like birds. They've got beaks and they peck, and
So Allie would be the one running into the jungle, like scaring them.
Yeah, she would.
the birds. Yeah.
She's a blowhorn.
No, I mean, we have a lot of Canadian geese here, and they're mean and they chase people.
They are.
So that's
There you go. So yeah, this did fund on Kickstarter. So good call. Interesting. I do still find it pretty funny that they really drove home that this is not a competitor, but like it's a board game about birds. It is a competitor by default. Like no matter what you say.
I mean, it's a competitor in the sense of if you like that theme, these are both going to be in the same category for you, and you'll look and see which bird-themed game is going to be better for me.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
good on them for funding on Kickstarter and then going to retail, because that's not always the case.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, interesting. We'll jump to the next one. So this one is yours, Carlos, and you.
My bad.
No, I said you're bad, man. No, you brought it up, and I thought I actually got excited because I wanted to hear about this one. It's Undaunted, Stalingrad, and I have recently got into the Undaunted games. I bought the base game, and then I bought like one of the expansions that has the solo.
Okay, the reinforcements.
Yeah, that one. And I thought it was really cool. So I'd like to hear you tell us all about Stalingrad.
All right, it's my jam right here. It took over my face. Undaunted. This is the reinforcements pack that Anthony was just talking about, but I got all of the game into this one box, everything into the one box.
Yeah, it's the big box, right?
Yeah, it's great. They made a box that fits everything, and then they came out with a new one.
And they also have the African
Osprey
expansion, right?
Yep, I've got, and it's not an expansion, actually. It's an individual solo or a system on its own, so it's a standalone game. So Undaunted is by David Thompson and I think I don't know how to pronounce it. David
David Turchi.
Thank you. Works on the solo aspect of this game, so you can see they put a lot of effort into making this a solid mechanism.
Which system. I have to just jump in here because the last time we talked about this in our last video, somebody made a pointed comment, because I mentioned that David Turchi did the solo. And he came on specifically in the comments to say that, no, it was David Thompson, not Turchi, who designed the solo for this. To the point where I actually had to go pick up the box and see David Turchi's name on it so I could write my comment back and be all pointed about it. But I thought that was pretty fun.
Because they put David Thompson on and Trevor Benjamin as the designers of the game.
Right. But
they credit, English is not my first language, Mr. T, for the solo aspect of the game. Which makes sense. He's just that's his thing. Yep. That's what he does well. Yeah. So Undaunted itself, the system, right? So let's talk about Undaunted Normandy, which was the first one. Undaunted North Africa, which is the second one, and then Reinforcements Pack is the most recent expansion. Is a system of wargaming with a board game feel. And I think even Tom Vassell talked about it replacing for him that entry-level war game that used to be Memoir 44, right, from Days of Wonder, from a good friend of the show, from Beans and Dice, Mr. Richard Borg. He designed Command and Colors and Memoir 44, but this one replaced it for Tom. That's huge. It's a deck-building game where you use deck building to build on your ability to maneuver units on your board. So you're going to have these tiles on the board where you're going to maneuver your wargaming units, either German versus American or Italian versus British, if you're in the African Mediterranean setting. It's nice because it really bridges that divide that I have with my friends, where they're not wargamers, but they're board gamers. If you're playing a deck building game with wargaming flavor, we can kind of both get what we desire. I get the historical wargaming aspect. They get a nice deck building game. This Undaunted Stalingrad, which is coming out, it's supposed to be October, if I'm right, of this year, was the time frame they had given it, Q4. It takes it to another level, because in the other ones, it was all scenario-based. So much like Memoir 44, you're going to get certain scenarios. You'll set up based on those scenarios. You'll play those scenarios. And then you can choose to play the next scenario based on the historical battles, but no impact. This is more of like a legacy-style game without the breaking of cards, without the stickers. It's going to be legacy in what you have access to for your deck building. When you lose units in Undaunted Stalingrad, you're losing those cards. Every card in this game right here, the ones that are currently printed, have a name on each card, each unit. It represents a person, a soldier, a casualty. In Undaunted Stalingrad, you lose that casualty, they're gone. And in the next game, they're not available to you. So it really does impact the arc, the story arc, the campaign of the game. You start off with a small battle, small amount of units, and I believe it's something like 17 or 16 different scenarios to get you through that entire campaign. But man, the MSRP on this thing is like $125.
I didn't know if that was true, because I saw that on their website and I was like, that can't be right.
It hurts. Like, I think I spent $50 for each of the different sets that I have in here. So if Wife is listening, it's about $150 sitting on the table right there.
Yeah, that's wow.
I just don't know if I can spend $100 ish on just one game.
Okay, Carlos, I'm looking. I actually have it up on Amazon right now, and it looks like it's releasing November 22nd. You can pre-order it right now for $85. The list price is $120.
Okay, so the list price is the $120, $85 for a a game of Undaunted set in Stalingrad with a specific legacy type campaign. The reason I bring it up is not because I'm saying, hey, go buy it. That's not the reason I brought it up to this conversation. It's because I'm going to tell you, for you board gamer folks at home, if you're looking for a great deck builder, it's right here. This is an awesome deck builder because it blends in the mechanisms of moving units on the board and rolling dice for combat with deck building. You're not going to get that much anywhere else, right? This is very unique to this game. But I'm going to tell you, start with, like Anthony did, either pick Undaunted Normandy or pick Undaunted North Africa. Yep. That's where I'm going to tell you to go. This is going to be on the conversations because of its release. And I'm just here to warn you, if you haven't gone into one yet, this may not be the one to jump into. Start with Normandy or North Africa. And they do have two different feels. Normandy is it's easier. It's less specific. North Africa has more specialized rules, but it has vehicles, so you can control like drivers and gunners and vehicles themselves. But that's the reason I brought it up today.
And aside from the price point, I'm really excited about that because I think that's kind of what was missing from the other ones that I have for me is sort of like that campaign feel, where it's more or less just here's a scenario, here's a scenario, here's a scenario. But I think the deck building component of it, because every time you draw up, you're not really sure what troops you're going to get to activate that round, right? Because you can only get like 3 or 4 cards, and some cards let you put more cards into your deck, but don't necessarily let them come back out. So you're kind of like building them up, but you're maybe saving up for a later round and kind of stalling a bit. But it's very much area control with a deck building aspect because you're basically trying to take key points in most of the scenarios I've played. It's like capture and hold. And if you're Germans, you just got to hold. And the U.S. is typically coming to capture.
And they tend to have the machine gunner or the sniper, and they're sitting there and as you're trying to move forward. I think one of the aspects I love about the system is that balance of initiative to card play. In this game, you're going to draw up your hand. Each player is going to get, I believe, 5 or 7 cards. Can't remember anymore. But you have to burn one of those cards at the beginning of the round to dictate initiative. Well, the higher initiative cards that are going to let you go first tend to be the most powerful cards.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You're like, do I really want to do some cool stuff and go second? Or do I really need to go right now, which means I'm going to burn my coolest card? And that's that decision point. You're staring across from, like me and Anthony be staring each other down. Like, what you playing, bro? What you playing? Because there'll be times when you play that really good card just to get that high initiative to find out that Anthony burned a fog card and it's just a 1. And you're like, really, bro? Had you told me you were going to burn a 1, I could have burned like a 5 and got initiative.
Yep, exactly. So
Great game.
it is good. It's a lot better than I expected.
Yeah. Let me, if you don't mind.
Solo?
What's that?
Is this 2-player and solo only?
Yeah.
Solo in the reinforcements pack, it came out with the solo rules and the 4-player rules in the reinforcements pack.
Okay, but it's typically just 2-player.
Typically 2-player. 4-player, I call it should be 2-player. 4-player doesn't make it's like those 2-player games. They try to divide it in 4 just to make you feel like it's 4-player. I hear a lot of people say better. I haven't found it to be great yet.
A couple things. Not to just a little thing. It is a legacy game, and Paul Grogan actually did say specifically that there are stickers on the cards. There are changes permanently to the game state. However, it is resettable somehow. He didn't go into how it's resettable, so this is getting into the campaign legacy. I think this is a vast departure from the base. We have Undaunted Normandy. There's 14 pages of rules in this tiny rule book. The rule book for this game is much bigger.
I think 30-something pages.
32 pages. So the advice on starting with Normandy or North Africa is definitely, in my opinion, where you want to go, because this is a departure for Osprey. They're going into campaign and lots and lots of stuff, lots and lots of cards, lots of rules. So and for that price point, that's a lot, because Undaunted Normandy for us, I think we paid $40 for it, or not even $40. It was less than that. So you're talking triple the price. And right now you could probably get Undaunted Normandy for maybe $25-$30 because it's been out for a little while. So I'm not sure about this one, to be honest. For us, it's probably just too much. Yeah. And by the way, I think Tom is wrong. Memoir 44 is in my top 10 of all time. They are completely different games. Memoir is far, far more exciting. Rolling dice, the card play, the minis. Undaunted Normandy is your simple deck builder. It is very strategic, very tactical, very fun. But for me, it doesn't even hold a candle to Memoir 44. Not even close.
I'm with Branden.
You'd rather play Memoir too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just finished my collection of Memoir. Just finally got the last bit, so I have everything except for the D-Day campaign.
I don't have D-Day campaign. I don't have the campaign box, the bag.
Right, that bag. I don't have that.
I don't have volume 1 in print. I know you can print it in PDF, but I do have.
I have volume 1. You have volume 2.
volume
We got to
2.
come together like Voltron, bro.
Yeah.
You got 1, I got 2. We can do this. I'm going to Brandon's house next time. I'll do
I
the
love
show
it.
from
I
there.
actually have it all. I have it all in like several tackle boxes, like fishing tackle boxes, because like it doesn't fit in the boxes anymore. So I just consolidated it into fishing boxes. It's funny.
We're going to have to play on Board Game Arena. I'm going to find you on there.
One of my favorite games. It's very
I
good.
love how this turned into a whole different
I know.
topic
I'm sorry.
about Memoir.
About Memoir.
Oh, that's good.
My bad.
But I tell you, if we do want something smaller and lighter, not lighter, but like that wargamey feel, but it's just in
consumable.
this box, and we don't have to get out the fishing boxes. Undaunted Normandy is fantastic. So,
And that's what I don't get with Tom's description and his decision to say those words that he picked Undaunted as his new gateway game for wargaming.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I want to teach my kids this deck building system mechanism over a lighter war game where all you're doing is picking sections and activating orders on units.
And rolling dice. Who doesn't like to roll dice in a war game? It's so fun.
So as we talk about these retail releases and what's coming up new, Stalingrad, probably not going to make it into my house.
Yeah.
But Undaunted is a good system, so I'm glad that it's getting its name out there because of the Stalingrad release. So we'll recommend Normandy or North Africa. But at the end of the day, Branden and I will tell you, just get Memoir 44.
Yeah, my only experience with Memoir 44 is on my iPad. So if it's the same, if it's a true port, then I enjoy it. It's not bad. All right. So the next one we have is called Woodcraft. Who brought that one in?
That was me again.
All right. So one moment, and I shall bring it up. And there it is, Woodcraft. This is a pretty one.
Yeah. So Woodcraft.
She picks all the pretty games.
I'm a shallow gamer. Let's be honest. I look at the pretty covers.
Me too.
I mean, Lexi and I literally did a whole list about cutest meeples, so I'm in for the cute.
Yeah, right.
Woodcraft looks like it would be like an entry-level game, kind of like Tiny Towns or Cascadia or something in those veins, but it's actually the newest of the Vladimir Suchy games, and it was designed with Ross Arnold as well as the co-designer. But it's actually quite a heavy game. It's probably medium heavy on complexity, and I've watched a couple of like playthroughs and videos on it, and it's a dice manipulation game. So essentially you're getting these dice.
That's cool.
And then you're using them to craft different things out of wood. And there's different varieties of wood that are indicated, I think, by the different colors of the dice. And then the different pip values tell you like the size of the wood piece that you would need to craft it. And so there's dice manipulation where you can cut your dice into different sizes or glue them back together to make the sizes that you need. And it's all about efficiency. So it's another Vladimir Suchy efficiency puzzle. You can get like the assistants that you can see there. And there's a lot of little things going on, but it looks like a pretty smooth play in kind of the same veins as a lot of his other designs. But really, Vladimir Suchy's name being on it was the main draw for me, along with the artwork, because I really have enjoyed Underwater Cities and Praga Kaput Regni from him. So this one came onto my radar for that reason primarily. And then, I mean, honestly, it's a game where blueberries are your currency. How awesome is that?
That's very Everdell.
Yes.
Talking to a few people who've played this, they say this game is tight.
I'm so upset right now.
It is 14 rounds, and that's it.
Wow.
And
Okay.
like it is, you were talking about efficiency, Allie, like uber efficiency. Like it'll probably take people a couple games just to really get a handle on what you're doing because it's pretty much over before you know it.
Wow.
Yeah, and so many of his games are like that. I mean, you think about Underwater Cities, it's a set number of turns. If you think about Praga, it's a set number of turns that you get. I really love the Magnificent. It's the same thing where it's a set number of turns and you've got like 12 turns to make it happen, whatever it is. And so I love those types of efficiency puzzles of how well can I do this? Can I do it better than the other people at the table? And it also includes a solo on this one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and
So
Praga.
this was, yeah.
Good.
I was going to say, we actually saw this one. We swung by our game store the other day for like 30 minutes before we had to go pick up our daughter from daycare. And we saw this one, and I actually brought it up to Anthony, and I was like, oh, look, this is, new Vladimir Suchi. And I think it like suffers from that, oh, it's cute art, so it must be lighter, because I was like, well, I don't know that much about it, but had I heard this prior to,
I would have said we would have scooped it instead of the two Marvel Champions character packs.
Well, you would have still screwed those up.
Instead of Cyclops and Phoenix, we probably would have gotten this instead.
You made a very rookie mistake in terms of Vladimir Suchi. All you need to know, forget the art.
I know.
All you need to know is Vladimir Suchi.
Right?
He also does Pulsar 2849, which is one of her
Yeah, we like that.
favorites. Yeah.
very tight. And,
Yeah.
and I can echo Allie's sentiment on the tight Praga. I played that for the first time 2-player, and we played it in less than an hour. I mean, it was so good, and so the score was like within 3 points. It was so wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, we will definitely have to go back and scoop this because
This one definitely hit my radar.
I had no idea that it was heavier, so now I'm like, oh man, bring it.
All I keep.
Blueberries? Yes.
Yeah. I just kept thinking about the game Lignum. I don't know if any of y'all played Lignum.
I know.
We played that.
When I hear of Woodcraft, like I think, and if you haven't played Lignum, it's literally you take tan cubes and turn them into brown cubes, turn brown cubes into black cubes, and that's literally the game.
Oh, that good game.
You just convert cubes to different cubes. It's
very dry.
Cube converter.
I was smashing cubes by the end of it.
Yeah, it's
this
really
is so cool though.
dry.
I feel like dice manipulation is one of my favorite, and it's funny because Colony, if you've played that, is one of my favorite games, and it's such a bad rap. I think Tom hates it because it's like very luck based seemingly, but that's another one where if you're strategic enough, if you're able to like get the right buildings out to really manipulate your dice and do the best you can with what you've got, that challenge is so much fun. And this kind of seems in the same vein, but much cuter of a theme.
Yeah, I think you've got us all sold on this one.
Yeah.
All right, I think I'm 2 for 2 then.
You are 2 for 2, Allie.
We'll have to have a wrap up, after about a year. We'll come back to this and see if we were right or not.
Right, yeah.
Who
Compare
won,
our
who
notes.
kept it.
Yeah, game of the year, Bird Watcher.
It might be.
Sleeper hit.
Sleeper hit. Scared of birds.
Cancel all our YouTubes. We're done. I mean, we missed that one.
Bird Watcher zombie.
Here, I think this one's yours, Gare. This is 3,000 Scoundrels. Is that yours?
Okay, yeah, 3,000 Scoundrels. I'm really interested in this game. This is Corey Konecka. He used to be with FFG, Star Wars Rebellion, Destiny, a lot of those games, Star Wars Destiny. And then he's kind of gone on his own. And this is his newer one. His last couple weren't that great, but this one looks really interesting. The setup is a little odd. I guess there was a futuristic guy. He had a bunch of technologies, and then he just disappeared. And so they're in safes. And so what you're trying to do is go get these technologies before the feds show up. That's the premise. Weird. But anyways, you can have up to 3,000 types of scoundrels. You only use, I think, maybe 60 per game. but there's 3,000 variations of these Scoundrels, and they use the clear casing, kind of like the card crafters.
Oh, like Mystic Veil.
Mystic Veil, yeah. Now you're not changing them in and out like in those games, but it's just a one-time sleeving, and those will be your decks for the games. You're also going to have like poker cards, but it's ace and then 0 through 6, and that's it. You're going to place cards in certain sections. Before you turn it over, because when you turn it over, that's the action you're going to take. Anybody can put a henchman on that card before it's revealed. So this is also a bluffing game, and if you put like one of your 3 cards in the 3 slot, well, then you didn't bluff. If somebody put a henchman on that henchman goes to jail. But if they were right, say you put a 6 in the 3 slot because you're wanting to use a scoundrel you have that has a 6-card action. So if you use a 6 card, you'll get to do also their action, which might give you money or get a henchman out of jail or look at a safe or take a safe. Then there's going to be benefits for the people that called your bluff in that. But it's over 4 rounds. It goes pretty quick, it seems. Lots of different scoundrels. If you like bluffing games, this one looks actually pretty good. And at the end, you're just trying to get as much tech as you can. Maybe think kind of like some Sheriff of Nottingham type vibes a little bit. But just with these scoundrels, that's the big thing. There's all these variations of actions. You can end up buying new hiring new scoundrels. And so I don't know. It looks really, really interesting, especially since this might be kind of a shorter game. Yeah. And you can play it with 2 players, actually. They say most of the playtesters actually like playing it 2-player more than just 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah. I actually talked to the designers of this, and they actually told me that they superimposed Gary's likeness onto one of the scoundrels. So they wanted to name the game 2,999 Scoundrels plus Gary, but they thought that the name would be too long for the database, so they just said 3,000. But trust me, Gary is in this game.
2,099 and Clarence.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, obviously.
I've never heard of this game.
I haven't either.
It sounds interesting. I'd have to look into it a bit more.
Yeah, it's kind of into the bluffing kind of type thing. It's going to be kind of fun, and I like that Western theme. I wish there was more games like this out there. There's Western Legends, but not everybody's into big sandbox games. But it's such a
how about Saloon Tycoon?
I've never played that.
Oh, you should.
Tiny Epic Western.
No.
That's not my favorite Tiny Epic game. I'll just say that. I don't like bluffing. I don't like wagering. I don't like betting.
Oh, wow. That's like every game that Gary suggests.
She doesn't like the funny hats. She doesn't like the boots. She doesn't like anything about it.
I feel like Saloon Tycoon we kept intending to film and we never did. And I don't know if it was because of when you're actually building physically layers and levels on top of other buildings. So you're building your town up. So it's kind of hard to film, but it's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
It is a cool game. All right, interesting. It's 3,000 Scoundrels. That's something worth looking into if you're into betting and bluffing.
It comes out pretty soon too.
All right. I'll have to check that out. Let's add that to the list,
the
research
watch list.
Is that Corey Konecka's new company that published that?
I think so. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Next game is called Rise. I don't know who brought that.
Not Rise of Man.
Not Rise of Man. This is Rise by Capstone.
Yeah, I brought this one up too. Now this one
nice.
Looks really interesting. I never played Tapestry. I'm pretty familiar with it by watching it. But I think this is kind of a Tapestry-esque type game, but I think what I understand done better. You're going to have a bunch of... Basically, there's a city, and you are kind of going in to try to build it up through factories and industry and science, and things can come in and kind of mess with your reputation, like pollution or riots. But the whole game, basically, and this one is another one. It goes fairly quick. I think 60 minutes. You're just doing actions to try to keep moving up all these different tracks, and one track might trigger another track, or it might trigger money, because you need money to buy these factories. But and these tracks are interchangeable, and there's 10 a game, so this looks really. I don't know. I really like kind of stuff like this, especially when you're dealing with a bunch of tracks.
I get your Tapestry comment in that. Tapestry is literally a 4-track game, right?
Right.
Like you, every turn you push up one of the 4 tracks. Like that's literally the game, and then you get trigger bonuses, right? And then you place a building on your little map on the side. Like that's the whole game. Where we talked about the theme not really tying into that one, because it's supposed to be a civ builder, but there's zero chronological order to any of the discoveries that you make whatsoever, and I think that's where it kind of lost it. So I like the track mechanism, but I do like I would like the theme to be tied in a little bit better. And if that's what you're saying, then yeah, count me in.
It reminds me a lot of Yokohama on the table. I don't think it's that heavy, but the interchangeable boards and the way that they're built kind of it has that look, which has me intrigued.
Yeah, Yokohama had a lot of boards.
One of some of my favorite games.
Yeah, and the more players, the more boards.
Yeah, that's right.
If you pre-order this, if you're part of the Capstone club, the 20% off, it's like $43.95 plus shipping to pre-order.
That's not bad.
Wow.
It looks really good. Yeah.
Did you pre-order this, Branden?
I'm on the verge. It's in the cart. We love this industrial. We like furnace. And you know what, Anthony? I completely disagree with your Tapestry comment. It's so much more than that. Those tracks are fun because they're a race. I do understand the whole it's not a civ game, but
is this? I didn't really look at this. Asymmetrical powers.
I don't know. I don't remember reading that.
Let me. I have the rule book up. I don't.
The tracks are interchangeable. You did say that, so that's variability.
Yeah.
Variability.
No, I
1,000 unique combinations.
Asymmetric people.
I think the tracks are variable, but I don't know.
Which is pretty neat. There's another game coming out that we covered on crowdfunding. Was it that Japanese game that has the interchangeable mechanisms for each game? You only use 3 of the 5. Remember that? I forget what the name of that game was.
Did Gary bring that one up too?
Yeah, I think he did.
I'm starting to see a theme here, Gary.
Which one was that?
It had a lot of gray sci-fi, Japanese.
It wasn't Circadians, was it?
No. That's Scarfield.
Me.
I forget the name of the game now. Oh boy, I don't remember. We covered it in our last panel.
Yeah. Oh, we did.
It was something you.
So, I'm seeing a theme at least today. You're seeming to point out or like games that have a lot of variability in the gameplay itself, such as 3,000 Scoundrels. You got 3,000 different versions of the cards that you're going to play with, and then this one's got 10 tracks you're using, but multiple options. Is that something you enjoy in gaming? Is to have a huge variety in that one game that's random?
I wouldn't say it's like my go-to. My favorite mechanism is dice drafting and dice placement by far. But I do like games like this because it seems like I like Crystal Palace. That's another one that has kind of this kind of setup. And every now and then there's just these. I like the theme. I like how it's laid out. I like the quick play. I was like, yeah, I want something like that. Yokohama goes long for me.
Yeah, because I guess I'm feeling the opposite, and I'm starting to remember the game that Branden was talking about, because it had all these modules that you can put in different ways to make the game different so many times. It was beautiful artwork in that Japanese game Branden was talking about. But I think to me it's more of a turnoff because you can never really get a meta. You can't get an understanding of different characters or aspects of the game and start to turn zero, plan out how you're going to do stuff, because every game is going to be so variable based on what comes out. You can't build a strategy for how to get good at the game. The game will be so different each time. But I just noticed that you came up with both the games today, at least, that have a lot of variability.
And there is some of that I like that, because how many times have we played a game with somebody who's played the game 10 times and this is your first time, they just stomp you.
Yeah. How many people
keeps putting everybody at the same level every time. And I do like that.
2 of my favorite games of all time are Scythe and Blood Rage, and I cannot believe how much hate those 2 games get because they've been meta'd. So I don't like meta in games. I want to play them as many times as I can and just get maybe even something new. I do understand what you're saying, Carlos, because some people do like that. But for me, it seems to ruin some of my favorite games because they just get these stigmas that, they've been gamed, like they've been figured out. And I don't like that.
I like Scythe. I just don't like Blood Rage. That's all.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said about putting that energy, that effort into learning a game, right?
Sure.
Like, I'm going to stomp you, Gary, if I played the game 1,000 times over you. But maybe that's how I wanted to spend 2022. Was like getting really good at this game. Right?
That's a good point, Carlos. We're not gonna begrudge you. Yeah, that's awesome.
The Japanese game was Atlas Lost.
Atlas Lost: Rise of the New Sovereigns. I was just gonna say. Yep.
Oh yeah, that does look similar. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because it was the tech tree one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's 5, but you only play with 3, and it's random. So like it changes the mechanisms in each game you play. So it will change your strategy a little bit. So
it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
All right, so that was Rise. All right, next one is going to be Delicious. Who brought that?
Good.
Was that yours, Allie?
Mm-hmm. This is my last one.
All right.
I promise.
Now you said you brought all good ones, so let's see if you can continue the streak. Not this one for sure.
I'm kidding.
This one looks cute.
Yeah, so this is the newest game from Pencil First Games, which is Eduardo Barof's company, and he does a bunch of designs with Steve Finn. So this is the newest one in that line. Herbaceous, I think, was the first one, and then they did Sunset Over Water. Last year they had Floriferous came out, and they had the Whatnot Cabinet. I think that was also both of them. But they have this kind of line of these nature-themed games, and a lot of the artwork is done by Beth Sobel, and then Floriferous, and then this Delicious is done by Clementine Campardu, which is a new artist that they've been working with, and she does all watercolors, so it's just absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I think this is definitely.
Yeah, I love it. I prefer this. I love it.
The right direction.
Yeah,
this looks
her
gorgeous.
Artwork is great. Delicious is the first one that they've done that's a flip and write game. And so you essentially have your garden that you can see there, and you have these, unique planter boxes. Like some of them you're planting stuff in boots or an old suitcase or a bathtub or a wheelbarrow. And so you're planting vegetables in the 6 that are on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, you're going to be putting fruit in those planters based on the shapes. And so every turn, you're going to flip over 2 cards, and you'll add these little tokens that will either be a fruit or it will be a tool that you can use as kind of a special ability. And each card will be either assigned to the top half of the garden or the bottom half of the garden. And it's played over 12 rounds, and each of the 12 rounds you have to select from these little check boxes if you're going to take just one of the cards and play it as it was dealt. So the top vegetable goes in the top half of the garden, or the bottom one goes in the bottom half. Or you can play both of them where they were dealt. Or you can play one of them and put it in the opposite. So the card that's on the bottom you can play on the top. Or you can play both cards anywhere you want to in your garden. But each of those has a specific number of times that you can use it. So once it's been used, you check it off, and you'll get down to the end and you'll only have the one action left that you haven't used yet. So you have to think about, when am I going to take 1? When am I going to take 2? There's also some kind of special scoring areas where you can put in vegetables and get bonus points if it's in all of the different types of planters, and you can get bonus points for a specific type of fruit, or you can go and change one vegetable to a different type or one fruit to a different type once per game. And so it's very light. I played it with my mom when we were at the Dice Tower Retreat. This is actually one that I already bought. I pre-ordered this one as soon as I found out it was coming out. I was on board. But it's pretty light. It takes a minute to get used to the top and bottom garden, and the fact that you're limited to it has to go in the top or it has to go in the bottom, and how that works. But it's a lot of fun. I really like it.
How would you, Allie, how would you compare this to the others in terms of it seems very different. It seems very much the same as it fits in their line. But what's your preference, and where does this kind of fit in?
like you said, it's very different because this is the first flip and write. So if you don't like roll and write, flip and write games, those, pencil and paper ones, this is probably not going to be for you if that's not your jam. If you like those types of games, which I do, then you probably will enjoy it. It is different from the card games. It has some of that same sort of set collection. The fruit garden area on the right actually scores the same way that the Whatnot cabinet does. And so you'll score if everything's the same or if everything's different. If they're all the same, you score more. If they're all different, you score a little bit less. But if it's like this weird mix and match, then you basically get nothing. So they pulled a little bit of that in. If you've played the Whatnot cabinet and you like that, there's a little bit of that in there. And then it plays similarly to like herbaceous and herbaceous sprouts in that you are putting into these planters either everything has to be different or everything has to be the same, or you're doing pairs of matching vegetables. So it has some of that same set collection that you have in like herbaceous and herbaceous sprouts where it has to be specific, is the same or isn't.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you like the Whatnot cabinet and you like herbaceous and you like flip and writes, this is one I think you'll enjoy.
But not as chunky as like a Hadrian's Wall or a Twilight inscription.
No, definitely not. It's light in the same way. It's probably around the same weight as like a Welcome To.
Welcome To, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, there's a little bit to get used to and get started, but once you figure it out, it's really snappy. It comes with solo modes included. It has actually 2 solo modes. You can just play it as the multiplayer and just go against it to beat your own score. And then they also have, if you have played Floriferous, they brought back that pesky neighbor, the crow. And so you can play with that mode, which is a little bit harder, and he'll move around into the different sections and block you from being able to put things in planters.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Allie, I have a question. So I'm seeing the sheet of paper, the gardens that we're writing in, and I tell you what, I struggled a bit when it came to the symbology, drawing it for like cartographers. I feel like I would really struggle in this game trying to look after the game that I draw an onion or a carrot because my art skills are not there. Did you have that, or did you see anybody struggle with the drawing of the different symbols?
No, so I drew them, and the nice thing is the backside of the rule book actually shows you like in 5 steps how to draw each of them, so it gives you step by steps, but they're also all different letters of vegetables and fruits, so you can just write the letter it's basically all letters. You can just write the letter in instead, similar to kind of how you do in Rolling Ranch, where you can write
or like a harvest dice. I think it was kind of the same.
Similar.
So you don't have to draw if you don't want to, but they do give you the instructions. Like I said, it's on the back of the rule book. So I just left it up on the table and then I just copy it.
Oh, good, because I don't want to have to draw a mushroom and try to figure out what it is later.
It's like, Carlos, what are you growing in your garden?
Yeah. And Brandon and Lexi will be happy to hear that pencils are included.
Oh, that's an absolute must.
He doesn't have to call a customer service. Is it pencils first?
That's a deal breaker.
And they have these little
Pencils last.
Pencils and they say pencil first.
Brandon,
This is a cute game. We saw your drawings were very good, Allie. They looked exactly like the rule book. It looks really cute.
I'd much rather play 2,999 Scoundrels plus Gary. I just would.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I like delicious birds. I'd like to take the bird. I take the picture of a bird watcher. I'm gonna take it over in delicious, a little onion.
Yeah.
Some fava beans.
Yeah.
We have burger up. We could easily hook you up, Gary.
Oh, there you go.
No fava bean.
Yeah.
I think we're a little spoiled now with having since played Twilight Inscription and then before that Hadrian's Wall. Like I said before, I think those are just, if I'm going to sit down and play a roll and write, even like Fleet Dice, for example, I want something that's chunky if I'm going to sit and play it, because something like this, it's a good thing to get around the table if you want something that's kind of like, hey, let's just kick it off and let's do it real quick. But when I devote some time to really want something fulfilling, I'm going to reach for the bigger, meatier roll.
I think I'm with Allie on that one. Tell him why he's wrong, Allie.
Yeah, no, I mean, it depends on what you're looking for, obviously.
Oh, yeah,
If you're
yeah.
looking for that meteor experience, then this is not it. It is very light. But if you're
This is the
looking
vegan
for-
option. No.
Yes, but if you're looking for, I have, my mom friends that are here that are just
Yes.
getting into gaming. It's
Yep.
more casual. I can bring it out. It's something that they are going to be drawn to because it's beautiful on the table, and you get drawn in by that artwork.
Similar to
Or-
like putting Herbaceous on the table, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say too. It's like gift box material.
For sure. I just gifted 3 Pencil First games to one of my best friends because she loved Floriferous so much, so I gave her a bunch of these. And this would be a perfect one
Yep.
for that. Or weeknights. I play these after the girls are in bed. Just pull it out. You can play 2 or 3 games and then go to bed. It's not super stressful.
Yeah, they're really good with nailing sort of that like gateway gamer to non-gamers, right? With the way they kind of pitch both the style, the look, and the theme of these games,
Yep.
and the weight.
I'm convinced that Eduardo is designing these games for his mom. I don't know if anyone's
really?
watched his YouTube channel, but his mom will come on and teach you how to play some of these games, and she'll come and talk about them, and they'll play them, together or remotely, and it's really cute to hear her talk
That's
about
cool.
it. But it just makes me
That's
think about
cute.
these are games I can play with my mom and with, my daughters or with my friends that aren't really gamers.
That's cool. Yeah, he's good people. We've known Edo for a long time.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
then
we
I
need
see
more-
I see the pictures of the artwork used, and I'm gonna pull up a share there, Anthony, if you want to throw up on the screen, that they created for the marketing of this game. And listen, I worked at a cash and carry in the marketing department back during college. My job was to translate beans into Spanish words or bananas into guineos, the little Spanish words at the bottom of the marketing ad. And that's all I see here with their marketing photos. Is it looks like a ad for either a grocery store or when you go to that Chinese restaurant where they have the different food items and numbers
on the picture menu. Yeah,
right, like
on the
this
board.
is the vibe I'm getting. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is the Kung Pao chicken, and
Yeah.
just saying we could have done different. And
Yeah.
We could have. I think I'm going to pitch Noxious or Gaseous as names for the next game in this series to kind of darken it up a little bit.
Yeah,
It's getting a little too watercolory and weird.
All right.
No,
So,
you can just go back to Skull Hollow and you'll be fine.
there you go.
That's also them.
It is. I know we had it. It was one of the first games we ever had of Pencil First. We reviewed it. It was okay. A little imbalanced, but it was okay. It's only 2-player
fun.
though.
It's fun.
It's
Yeah.
only 2-player. Yeah.
Yeah. That reminded me of Shadow of the Colossus in board game.
Yes.
It did.
Yep.
That's what it was. Yep.
All right. So we're gonna go to Wormholes next.
All right. This is mine. So this one I put it on the list, and then when we went to our store, it was right there, like sitting there waiting for us. So we picked it up. So we already have it. But this was one that caught my eye just because it's a pickup and delivery game, and that's one of my favorites. This is a very light game. Maybe not very, not delicious light, but it's a lighter pickup and delivery. And what is interesting about it to me is that it plays very quickly in about 45 minutes, and you have like 3 actions on your turn, but basically the only thing you're spending actions to do really is to move, and you're placing these wormholes all around the board, trying to make pairs. So you'll put a wormhole next to a planet, let's say. That planet will also have passengers that you can pick up, so you can draw from a deck to pick up passengers from that planet, and then your goal is to get them to wherever they need to be, so on some other planet. And as you're moving across the hex tiles, across space, you're planting these other wormholes. So I might put down like the first token for, in my color, which denotes that it's my wormhole that I'm using in number 1. And then I travel across the board to some other planet, and maybe I lay a wormhole down to finish that network. And now I have a wormhole that I can use on subsequent, deliveries and things. You can also use other people's wormholes. And when you do that, the wormhole network owner gets a point. So you're getting points basically for making your deliveries, for people using your wormholes, and also for being the first one to place a wormhole next to a planet. So it's just a couple of things you're getting points for across a very quick playing game. So I was really happy you picked this one up because I think it'll be one that we could probably sit down and play with the kids. It's a good one we could play like before game night gets started, maybe as we're wrapping up, that kind of thing, or in between games. So I'm excited to get this one to the table and try it out because we haven't had the chance yet because I just bought it. So I think that's pretty much it, though.
Thoughts? Anyone else?
Any questions? Have any of you seen this one yet?
I saw the review on the Dice Tower. I kind of watched it half while I was doing other things.
Yeah.
I think Wendy liked it the best. It sounded interesting. It's also from the same designer as Tiny Towns, right? Is it about that same weight and complexity?
Yeah, so I said it's lighter. I guess, like, I hate using the word gateway, but I guess it's like a very easy to understand and also introduces the mechanics of pickup and delivery in a way that's not overwhelming, I think, for people that are just getting into gaming.
It definitely looks better than Tiny Towns. We just got Tiny Towns, and it's just very bland. So yeah, this one for a lighter type game, I like that. I like the different planets. It looks colorful. Like there's a lot of color. So yeah, I would try this out for sure.
Yeah, the boards, I don't think we had a picture of the boards up there, but actual, like, what space actually looks like. But it's a bunch of, it's like a bunch of it's a bunch of tiles that have a bunch of hexes on them. So it's one of those ones where you can kind of interlock space together in different ways. So based on player count, I think. So I don't know if it'll be the same every time, like where the planets are located. But my understanding is that you can kind of mix them together and make it a little different every time.
Yeah, there's the board.
Yeah, you can see one little ship out there.
There's got to be hexes if it has spaceships. I mean, if you don't have hexes with spaceships,
then you've failed.
It's going to fail.
You've absolutely failed. I'm a sucker for space games, so I'm willing to give that a shot.
Yeah.
And I like Pick 'em and Deliver. I know she loves Pick 'em and Deliver, so
I do.
She loves Far Space Foundry, and that's like just the...
It's also one of my favorite games. Well, you know what I like about Far Space Foundry, though, is that you're spending the first half of the game like building your ship, and then you're spending the second half of the game actually doing all the things. You're gathering mining from asteroids, and then the game
literally
and then you're spending
changes, complete mode change, and then you produce everything you've gathered.
Because it's one of those games where it's like you have to prepare to a certain point, and then the rest of the game, if you didn't prepare well, you're not going to have a great second half of the game. But that's the challenge. That's why it's fun. But anyway, it's one of those forgotten games that I think we'll have to talk about at some point soon.
Yeah. So what would be cool is to have, like Gary said, like have a look back later on in the year and just like kind of go through this list and be like, okay, played this one, it was terrible, and it wasn't anything we hoped it would be. All right, we're gonna do Astra next. I think that was you, Branden.
Yeah, it was. So Astra, when I first saw this announced from Mind Clash, it was kind of mind blowing. Nope. I guess a pun intended, but this was, when I saw the price tag of $35, I thought there was a misprint. I thought there was something wrong. I thought it was going to be a roll and write or a flip and write. And no offense, Allie, but you know my opinion on this. There's just so many of them that it's like they just blend together for me. Cartographers is probably as light as I'll go most of the time. I do love Hadrian's Wall. I would love to try Twilight Inscription, but this is actually not a flip and write or roll and write, even though it comes with dry erase markers. So, surprise, it's not that. What I saw Man vs. Meeple call it was a cat and mouse game. David said it's a cat and mouse game is perfect description of it because that's exactly what it is. So there's this board with constellations in the middle, and you are all astronomers basically looking up into the night sky and trying to like just get all this information, chart the constellations. And the interesting thing about this, it still has the Mind Clash DNA in it, because this is actually, there's more going on in this game than what it would seem. Lots of player interaction because you can share information. So you have a currency in the game called Stardust, and it's these little crystals. And you use the Stardust to fill in these constellations with your dry erase marker. So all the cards are dry erase, your boards are dry erase, like everything's dry erase. And you have different colors, of course, and you're filling in these dots on the constellations. And then some of the dots are grand stars, like the root stars in the constellation. That gives you wisdom, and wisdom allows you to hold more cards in the game. You start off, I think, with 2. You can have 2 in your tableau. So that's where the tension comes in. So here's the thing, why it's cat and mouse. The player who fills up the last star on the constellation will gain the card, but everybody that's contributed to filling in that constellation will get one of the boons on the card. And the boons are excellent. And the reason I like that is because it reminds me of Furnace. When you're bidding on the card, you either are trying to win the card because it fits in your engine, or maybe you're just trying to lowball it so you can get the consolation prize at the top instead. I love that. The tension of that is one of my favorite mechanisms of all time, and I see that in this game. So like the idea is, how much Stardust do you spend to fill up the constellation? Because you look over and your opponents you can see their Stardust that they have. Can they fill it up and take the card from you? Maybe you want the card, but maybe you want them to fill up the card because you want the boon. That just, to me, is just delicious. The game looks light in that sense. In other words, light compared to Mind Clash games. This is the publisher of Anachrony. This is the publisher of Cerebria, of Tricarion, of Perseverance, which I'm sure, Gary, if you've played that, you like it because it's dice drafting, dice placement, among thousands of other mechanisms in that game. But Astra, for $35 for pre-order. It's coming out this month. I think it looks beautiful, by the way. I love blue in games. Like, the blue's my color. I like to play blue. And so I love the appeal. The cards look nice. And I love that idea that you're sharing, but you're competing. It's not a cooperative game, of course. It's a competitive game. And it's that simple. You know, you're spending. And then here's the other. So you either observe on your turn or you rest. That's it. When you're out of Stardust, you have to rest. And then, so it's like that tension of how much do I spend out of the gate, or how much do I save and hold back in case I want this? And there's different constellations coming out every round. And so when you gain the card, you now get a powerful ability as well, only you have for the rest of the game. But there's a tracker in the middle, and there's different elements. And so each of the cards, like fire, earth, things like that. And so when the tracker gets around and the fire is activated, you can activate your power and do like cool things. So you get the variable player powers, you get that tension of player interaction. I mean, it was extremely interactive from what I saw. So I really like that. Really good. Yeah. And I thought
I didn't watch that review. So.
I thought $35. It's like a no-brainer for me. And it's mine. I can't remember. I think the designers' names are for me, and I don't mean to be offensive, but it's unpronounceable. I don't know how, and I don't want to butcher their name. But there's 3 designers on the game. Patrick is one of them, and I can't remember the other names. But
Frigius is another one, and they're tough. Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't, and so it's not even it's not the main team.
Like Richard Amon and Victor Peter.
Richard, David Turchi. It's not their normal crew of game designers, which I think is also cool. It seems like they're branching out, but they could have put together a little roll and write and did the cash grab, which I don't mean to say that every roll and write's a cash grab, but it would be easy for Mind Clash with their reputation and what they have to just put out something very low effort. This looks high effort to me. It's very tactical. It looks interactive, and it's a beautiful production, which is what you'd expect. So I'm very interested in this one. What's that?
And I'll say, I just did a check real quick on the Nexus here, and Friese, or however you pronounce your name, Mr. F, also did design like the Cerebria card game. And I think also helped on Cerebria too. So if that's any indication, I know that was also like a more abstract game, and this seems very similar. And it seems a lot like Furnace. You said that. Yeah. The way that you're like the way that it's set up, totally different theme. But the decision making and benefits and things. Yeah.
We like Furnace a lot.
Really like Furnace a lot.
Furnace, I tell you, has been a big hit for us. Everybody we've introduced it to just seems to love it. They've purchased it. So we're like
small. It's so much game in such a small little box.
Right.
It's really good.
But it's that tension of, but this game, you're not really bidding, but you are. You are bidding technically because you're choosing how much you're spending of Stardust to fill in those stars to just see how that's going to go. Are you going to get the card or are you going to get the boon? And as you watch David and Ryan, and I forget the girl's name on Man vs. Meeple, I apologize to her. But when the three of them are playing it, you just saw it. Ryan was like, well, here's my plan, but and just constantly not knowing what to do, because there's like 3 or 4 boons on every card too. There's points, there's the telescope tokens, which allow you to take like an extra action. So, and then there's Stardust. So like, what do? Do you take the points? And I love when games kind of blow up in your mind of decisions that any one of them are good, but you don't know which one of them is going to like help you win the game. And that's very cool. Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Caesar, which the Turkey is a part of as well, where as you're placing to take control of a region, the person who closes out the region gets the bonus, but you may not win the region. So it's that tough decision of, do I close this out so that I can get the bonus that I desire, but give the points to the other player? And that is a tasty decision.
Is that Caesar's the follow-up to Blitzkrieg, right? Palamore?
Yes, Palamore.
Blitzkrieg is amazing. I haven't played Caesar, but I think they're similar in that. But yeah, very, very good mechanism.
They both have that decision space of, I can close this to gain something, but I'm giving something. And then you have to do that cost-benefit analysis of, is this worth it? That is a fun decision.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And I like the fact that the power is given to the players. You know, this isn't a game you're going to gain because you don't know what your human opponents are going to do. And I like that. I do. Just like Furnace, you don't know who's going to place that disc. You know, that's
the only betting game that I like.
Furnace is great. But not to compare it to that. It's not a direct comparison. The only thing are those the dual use cards, which I of course love, and it seems like a lot of you like it too. Yeah.
Well, don't hold out, because we do have one more betting game to talk about in a bit, so that could become your next favorite. But next, we're going to skip to Mille Fiori.
Mille Fiori. It's a glass blowing technique. We played this at Dice Tower East, and it was the German copy. So De Beer is going to publish this. It was supposed to come out this month, but I think it's going to come out in November. But it's from Rainer Knizia, and the price point is really good too. It's like around $30-$40, which I was pretty excited about. I love the color scheme. It reminded me of Korra, Rise of an Empire. So like that kind of drew me in. Yeah. But playing this, it's just point salad-y goodness. Like I loved it. So the main mechanism is card drafting. Each player gets a hand of 5 cards. You choose one card that you're going to play, and then you pass. The cards correlate to, there's 109 different spaces, and each of the cards, when you play the card, you're going to put one of your transparent glass tokens on these different spaces. So there's 109 cards, 109 spaces on the board, but they're separated into 5 different sections, and each section has a different criteria for how you're going to gain the most multipliers of whatever you're trying to do. There's no theme in this game. You're glass blowers, but there's no theme. You're just making it look pretty by placing your glass out in different patterns to get the most points, which I love games like this. It's very relaxing. It's probably medium light, more on the lighter side.
The multipliers, math. It's Rainer Knizia.
It's very, multiplication.
The scoring is where the complexity really lies.
But you do have to pay attention to what everybody else is doing, because you, at the end of playing 4 cards, your final card is placed into kind of a market row where you're able to obtain bonus actions on your turn sometimes, and that's where you would choose your bonus card to do your extra action. Just a whole bunch of multipliers, and I was just really excited about this because we had a really fun time playing this. Yeah,
there's actually, as abstract, if you don't mind me commenting on your game, but as far as, you know me, but as far as player, it's an abstract themeless game, but I tell you, player interaction is top notch, because you're all competing for those multipliers. And sometimes don't want to put your gem
because it's going to benefit
because somebody else could put it and top it off, get the flame, which is what gives you the bonus card, and now they get another action and what so you have this cascading effect that happens, and I'm telling you, it's juicy.
We didn't really pick up on it until later in the game, that whole cascading effect, which I love. So that I want to play this again. We're definitely going to purchase this one. Yeah. I'm just telling you because I think it's a really good game for all age levels. When I say he can purchase something, he gets all excited about it. So you're welcome. Escape Plan and this one.
And Rise.
Rise looks really, really good.
You don't own Escape Plan?
We do.
We just got it.
Oh, you just got it.
Wow. So good. So good.
I think
made me so mad, but it's so good. We may
have an extra upgrade kit for that lying around somewhere.
He's looking at me like I know this for a fact.
We have to look.
We'll have to look. Hold on.
To Branden. How long did that game take, by the way, and how many players?
We played it 5-player, I think, and it did not take that long.
Wait, which game? This game?
Mille Fiori.
Yeah. Oh,
okay. Is it 4 or 5? It was 4.
It was 4.
4-player. I don't
2 to 4.
I don't think it took an hour.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Like under
it was
an hour.
quick. It was quick because it's one of those games where it starts maybe slower because those 5 districts are empty, and when you first put your token there, nothing really happens.
Yeah, so you can
put your second, but it's as people start putting things out. It's one of those games that ramps up, which I love that because game arc for me is a big deal. Mm-hmm. It never feels. This game doesn't feel flat. It starts low, but then it just sort of ramps up, and by the
difficulty increases too because the spots are obviously filling up.
Right.
Yep. But it's cool trying to figure out how to multiply everything and maximize your
and that's where the complexity comes in. Each district scores completely different. There's similarities between the two on the right because you're building pyramids. Mm-hmm. So there's different ways to score on the pyramids, but it's all symbols, it's all abstract, but it's beautiful, it's easy to see, it's a good one. But I think it took us an hour. With the teach, it really wasn't bad.
That's not bad at all. Yeah.
Could you see it being a little AP prone for people who aren't familiar with games like in this hobby?
Wow, that's a good question.
Well, because card drafting, I remember sitting down and learning 7 Wonders, and I had no idea what card drafting was years and years ago. And I was like, what am I doing? Why am I choosing this? I don't know why I'm choosing it. I was going to take this.
As the game progresses, though, the card drafting does get easier because you know what you need and you know what you don't.
Too.
Right. Yeah. I see what you're asking. I think for someone AP prone, when you're first at the game and you're looking at this vast array of emptiness,
you don't know what strategy you're going to take.
Where do I want to start? You have no idea. So it can be AP prone, I'd say maybe at the beginning. Mm-hmm. But as you progress, it's like, okay, well, I know I need this. I know, and you know what you're looking for. So maybe that helps answer. It's pretty neat that way, though. It's very point salad.
People are going to AP if they AP, though. You know?
It's true.
People are going to AP if the AP.
I AP on
I think card drafting is the worst when you're learning a game for the first time because you're like, I don't know. What do I need? I have no idea.
Played this yet. By the way, and here I forgot to tell you. Here's what adds to that. There's a ship track, so the cards are dual purpose. So you can, instead of taking the action on the card, you can spend it as moving your ship, and then moving your ship does different things and gets you points and gets you different. So it's just very salady that way. So it can be AP prone, I'd say. Yeah. Frances got so tired of hearing me talk that she left.
Yeah, she just was like, I'm out.
She's out.
She's actually that's her power meter. And it's on red.
Oh yeah, her power meter is flashing.
Oh, no.
Well, it is past 10. She usually starts to wane at this time.
Oh, is that? Oh, that's not her. That's her personal power meter.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes. All right, so we're up on our next one. This one is the betting game that I promised we'd cover. Ready?
I've heard so much about this.
Actually, I'm not a lover of betting games myself.
You're gonna love this.
But as I was setting this up on the Nexus, I was like, this actually looks pretty fun. But I'll hand that over to Gary.
Are we waiting for Frances?
She can hear. She'll be right back. So you can jump in and start.
All right. Ready, set, bet. I have played this. I played it at Gen Con. Julie and I went one night to the hotel, one of the hotels where had the big gaming rooms, and I went over there and played it with Ryan. And we played about 8 players. This game is so fun. In fact, completely replaces Camel Up for me.
I was wondering how it's different. So please enlighten me.
Here's how it's one way it's different is that it gets really exciting much quicker than Camel Up. I think it's faster than Camel Up. It's easier to learn than Camel Up. I mean, basically, if you can just understand horses moving up a track and you have 5 chips, a 2, 2 threes, a 4, and a 5, and you start seeing horses move up the track, well, then you just put down your bet, right? You might have a 5, you might have put on a 5 times. So that means you'll get, you'll 5 times 5. Or if you put the 3 down, it'd be 5 times 3. If your bet is wrong, some of them have a minus on there, so you actually will lose that money, but it's not a lot of money, so it kind of keeps things even. But what's so fun is you can have somebody just rolling, like, all right, here we roll, there's a 7 horse, the 7 horse goes, we're rolling again, there's a 6. So you can kind of keep this going pretty quick, so people are really having to think fast where they want to put their bets down. When you have like the 1 and 2 horse and the 11 and 12 horse, so if they get rolled, they move up 1. If any horse rolls again, say you roll 2 5s, that 5 will move again plus some bonus spaces. 1s and 2s move further. The 7 never has a bonus, so it's moving pretty fast. A lot of people just get really into it, like come on 7 or whatever. But there's also some betting areas like you could put I just think a blue horse is going to win. I think an orange horse is going to win. I think the red horse is going to win. You just keep doing this. Then there's a red line, and as soon as the 3rd horse passes that, then no more bets, but you keep rolling because you got to finish until. I mean, we've seen horses that didn't even cross one of the 3 red line and came all the way up from the back and ended up winning. And there's also some other betting areas, like, oh, I missed out on that, but you have like little prop bets, like I think the 6 is going to finish ahead of the 3, stuff like that. You'll do a round of that. The round takes literally minutes. You'll add up all your money, get your money in. And then you're going to get a special card. You get like an exotic card, or a VIP card. It might give you a 7 chip that no one else has, or it allows you to get $1 every time the 4 horse is rolled. These are all different. You'll do this for 3 more rounds. Each round you get another VIP card. You get to add, and after 4 rounds, you just add up all your money, and whoever that's how you get the winner. We played 2 or 3 games in an hour. And if you don't like rolling and doing it yourself, they are bringing in an app that you can throw up on a TV complete with voice, and it will do all the rolling. They can do it like fast play or even slower play, stuff like that. And so it is literally a game where everybody is standing around the table, and look, I've never cheered for dice, but I was cheering for dice. And it was a blast. In fact, we were in this room of 500 people. I kid you not, at one game, I mean, we were screaming at the end. You got people looking around. We were the loudest table, right? So I think this game is going to be huge. I think it's just going to be absolutely huge. I can just see people buy. It'll probably end up like at a Target or a Walmart. And this is going to be, you're like, why didn't I think of this? Why didn't I think of just one? Why didn't I think of code names? Why didn't I think of this? This is so easy, so simple, and it's just a blast.
How long do you think it's going to take before people are betting real money on this game?
They're probably doing that already.
Check that box.
Where did you play this, Gare?
Gen Con, one of the evenings. Ryan got a copy from John C. Clare to let him borrow it, and they were playing it the whole night.
Oh, wow.
It plays up to 9. So, like I said, it plays real fast. It is a lot of fun. You really get into it, and there's lots of different bets up there you can do. And, anybody can play this game.
You don't have to sleeve the horses?
Nope. No, the horses are wooden.
Because John D. Clare, I figured there's got to be a sleeving mechanism in this game, but
right.
Yeah.
Right. You might want to sleeve your VIP cards. Those are going to get held alive. So.
Yeah.
But
they were playing this one almost constantly at the Dice Tower retreat when we were there. I don't think any of us
so you guys saw it played.
We
Yep.
saw it played, and it was rowdy for sure.
Yeah.
Tom, I
Yep.
think, was leading most of the games, and he was just doing all the dice rolling, and then everyone else was playing and betting, and people seemed to have a blast with it. I'm not huge on like bidding and betting games, but it seemed like everyone enjoyed it.
I don't think I've had a call-in show in the last month where someone didn't bring up this game. So Ready, Set, Bet has come up on just about every call-in show we've had in the last month. A lot of the fun stuff that makes me excited about it has to do with not the app, Gary, but using a real person to activate the dice.
That's the most fun part, I think.
Because that added a variability. So we had a caller this last week on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern where we do our call-in show. Plug. And she talked about playing it at the retreat, Allie, where you were at. And she said when she played it with one person who did so Tom Vassell doing the calling out of the dice, it was frenetic, it was fast-paced, it was stressful, it was, sonar kind of a feel, Captain Sonar kind of a feel. But then when another person rolled the dice, they were more, procedural about it, more paced, so the game felt less stressed and it felt more fun for her at the time, the caller. So it really changes the game based on who gets chosen to be the caller out, or someone who plays like an auctioneer where they're going real fast, throwing dice, yelling out numbers, can change the feeling of the game. So that sounded cool. What I didn't super like about what I heard about the game is much like one of my favorite con games, Captain Sonar. Because this game plays better at the higher player count, it won't reach the table on a regular game night, right? When there's maybe 3 or 4 of us, it'll have to be one of those bigger event days where to really get that feel out of the game. And, when you go to a con and I take certain games with me because I'm going to be able to get that bigger table to play with me. What'd you think about that, Gary?
Well, one thing, he actually kind of thought about that. Well, one is like the app. We'll just throw up the app. You only got 3 players. Well, you can play 3 players. That should be fine. Say you have 3 players. You don't, we forgot to bring our phone. I don't have the app. Whoever's rolling can still play. There's a system where you can actually still put down bets as the roller, so you can still actually play the game, even though you're going to be doing all the rolling. You can't really concentrate on putting down bets and stuff. So that was really neat. So he really thought well about this. I just, like I said, it was just a ton of fun. My girlfriend Julie, she sat there. She had more fun just sitting there watching, like you were talking about, Allie. I mean, people are just laughing at people because they're like, it's a bunch of goofballs yelling at and cheering for dice. Come on, 8, And when it gets rolled, everybody's screaming. So and I like that at a Camel Up. I got that with Camel Up on sometimes with some of the plays. But I mean, now that I'm gonna have this, I'm probably gonna play this way more than Camel Up, and I love Camel Up.
What about Long Shot? I mean, has anybody here played Long Shot? Maybe Long Shot, the dice game?
It's different. Long Shot's a more thinky. You're sitting there thinking about your bonus actions, and Long Shot is great. I
dice game or original?
The dice game, the
dice
new
game,
one that came out. Yeah, that's actually probably my favorite roll and write right now. If it's
we brought that one out for 2 different cons, Escape Winter Con and then Dice Tower Con. It came out, and it has that feeling of you're rooting for a certain number to come up. I need 6, horse number 6. Let's do this. Come on, yellow.
Right,
that kind of a feel. But which would you pick? Ready, Set, Bet, Long Shot dice game, or are they 2 different?
I think they're 2 different.
They're both host racing games, folks, by the way.
Yeah, they're both racing games, but I mean, I can easily sit down. I mean, you can play Long Shot solo. So, I don't know if you can play Ready, Set, Bet solo. That'd be weird.
Okay, so Long Shot, the dice game, could be the game for like a regular game night. 3 or 4 players, and
Gary in the corner.
Ready, Set, Bet is that bigger game.
Right.
Yeah, I'm in the corner. Come on, play Ready, Set.
Gary at a table all by himself.
Yeah, come on, do it.
And that's when people start walking around the table, kind of different approach.
People would still be looking at Gary.
That's right. I get
He's
that a lot.
scoundrel.
I don't know if you knew that, but yeah. But I do think this is going to be a huge hit. I've already pre-ordered it. I'm already thinking about how I want to upgrade these chips. They're going to get worn out. I know I'm going to play this quite a bit. I'm just going to take this wherever I go. I mean, hey, let's just play this. It'll take 20 minutes. We'll be done. If you want to play another round, great. If not, we'll go to the next game.
I know a guy with a laser cutter can figure out how to make some acrylic tokens out of that. So I'll get him going.
Calling you.
Which, by the way, Carlos, your sign looks amazing.
Hey, look at that. Wifey got herself a Glowforge, so I started commandeering it for board game purposes.
Yeah, if you're watching, so you have an Etsy shop and you're good at that stuff, this is one of those games.
Oh, well, thank you for the tip. I'm going to jump on it right after this.
I may have to have you make a logo for us out of that.
We got this, Bobby. We can figure this out. As long as it's a Memoir 44 plate, I'm happy.
Oh, yeah, there you go. All right, so we only have 2 more games to cover. We'll do yours first, Carlos. Blitz Bowl. I'll bring that up.
Yeah, I bring in that war game, miniature game flavor to the show, so I'm glad to be here. I can be your Sam, bringing in that war game stuff.
Yeah.
So this is Blitz Bowl. Blitz Bowl is a title by Games Workshop, the evil company from the UK, Games Workshop. That's all miniatures games, all war games, all the time. One of my favorite titles from Games Workshop that I'm big into is Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl being a miniatures game, playing American-style football using what I would call the original fantasy football game, because by fantasy I mean not what you're seeing right now with all your friends on Sundays trying to figure out which players in the NFL are doing well, but by fantasy as in dwarves versus elves versus tree men versus knights versus orcs, kind of a fantasy feel to it. And about 2 years ago, this title came out, this Blitz Bowl version of Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl being like a 3-hour game, a league game. You play throughout a 10, 12-week season. Blitz Bowl is the board game version. This is the version that I would introduce to any board gamer on a game day I would bring with me, because I can use my miniatures from Blood Bowl that are painted, these huge teams that are painted beautiful, but we're using those same models and the same team kind of structure in this board game version, except for you're only playing with maybe 6 to 7 models. So if you're not a big model builder or painter, this one's right up your alley, because you're going to play with maybe 6 or 7 models, and they're all push fit. So in this version of the game, GW Games Workshop was able to create their models so you don't have to worry about the hobby aspect. You clip them out of their sprues and you literally push them together like Legos, and they stay together. They're all color coded, so all the plastic is actually dyed plastic. So you don't have to worry about painting models. So it takes away that hobby fear of people who want to get into like miniatures games, but are afraid of all the super glue on their fingers, and then the cutting and the razor edges, and then the painting. You don't have to in this game, but you can, and it's fun when you do. And what you're doing here is you're playing American-style football on a smaller pitch, or a field, essentially. And the way they make this more of a board gamer's game is the addition of these challenge cards. In a regular game of Blood Bowl, you're just playing for scoring touchdowns. All I'm trying to do is as an American football, take the ball, throw it or run it down the field to get into the end zone of the opponent, thus to score points and win game. Yay. In this version, this is considered like the minor leagues of the Blood Bowl world in the fantasy kind of theory, or the IP, that fluff world. This is the minor leagues. And in the minor leagues, the players, their goal is to get looked at by coaches. So you've got this deck of challenge cards, and there's like 3 or 4 challenge cards that get put face up on the board. And the challenges include things like break some bones, or long bomb, or smash them. And each of those titles will require an action or something to happen for you to score points. So as an example, break some bones might say, if you knock down an opponent on this turn and put them in the dugout by hurting them, by breaking their armor, you can score 1, 2, or 3 points. Right? So now you're getting these goals. The idea behind it is like the coach is yelling, break some bones, and you want to show off to the scouts in the crowd by going and breaking some bones. You're not only going to get points for achieving that objective on that card, but the back of the card are going to have special abilities that you can proc. Right, so you're trying to get these cards by doing these actions that the crowd is asking for, thus getting that card into your hand that you can then do more cool stuff with it. So you can break rules using those cards. You're only allowed to hold 3 at a time, so you don't have a whole bunch of things to think about. You're only going to have 3 to think about in your hand. As you complete objectives on those cards, yes, you're going to score points for that. You're going to score points for touchdowns. But whenever you complete an objective on a card, you're going to be replacing cards from the deck. And this is what I thought was the coolest thing is, like I said, a Blood Bowl game can go like 3 hours, right? Don't get me wrong. I love it. Every hour, every minute of that Blood Bowl game, I love. but my friends don't. They don't want to be playing a Blood Bowl for 3 hours. The challenge deck is also a clock, right? So as you're completing your objectives, you're putting cards out in front on the tableau, and you're pulling from the deck. When the deck empties out, that's the end of the game. That's your time clock. So you're watching, you get that feel, that pressure of, okay, the clock is winding down. I got to find a way to put some play together to score some points because I don't have much time left on this clock, which is not something that Blood Bowl has. Blood Bowl has a set number of turns. You know exactly how many turns you're going to have. This adds that clock mechanism onto that challenge deck, plus those special powers, those plays, the special plays that you can do on the back of the cards. Altogether, it just makes it a lighter, faster version of Blood Bowl that you get this feel of American football where you're throwing and running the ball while playing in the kind of a board game-esque all in 30 to 45 minutes. So this one, unlike Undaunted Normandy, which I brought up and says, or Undaunted Stalingrad, I brought up and said, go buy an earlier version. I'm going to tell you, if you haven't got into it, ignore the first 2 seasons of Blitz Bowl, which are, I think, Barnes & Noble exclusives, all of these, in the US at least. Ignore the first 2 versions and go with this version. And the reason I say this version particularly is because this version not only comes with the 2 teams that are in the box, but it comes with cards for every team that GW, the Games Workshop, already makes for Blood Bowl. I own probably 20 different Blood Bowl teams that I have for playing Blood Bowl. This box set gives me all the cards I need to use all those teams that are in that GW Blood Bowl world ecosystem port it right into this game. And that's where you as a gamer have the opportunity to customize your game. You buy this game, maybe you don't like the humans that are included. You get the cards, you can go buy the team pack for $30 for the rats, the ogres, the orcs, the dwarves, the elves, whatever team you like in that fantasy world, you can buy, and you've already got the cards and the stats to port it into your game. So this is the edition I would recommend coming out this October, and I think it's also a Barnes & Noble exclusive. Blitz Bowl Ultimate Edition.
Wow, that's
I saw Branden
interesting.
getting very excited.
I know.
Would
Would you? Who here would play it?
Oh, I would play that.
Oh, there you go.
I've played Blood Bowl before. It's been a while, but I played it once. It was really fun because I was into Warhammer early on in our board game career. I actually had a whole army, and I played at one of the stores. I don't know why I got out of it. It's a money pit.
It's a lifestyle game.
It's a lifestyle
It is.
game, yeah.
Games Workshop also is not my favorite company. I got to be honest. I think they are the worst. They're bad. At the same time, they've built this thing. They built this city on plastic and rock and roll. So the whole idea of being able to buy other teams, that's what they want you to do. Because ultimately what they're trying to do is tie in this whole, because Warhammer's the same way. You can get different armies, put them together, paint them. It's more of a hobby thing, and then fight them. Their kill team is very similar to that. It's like a reduced version of Warhammer where you only have a few models. So very much like what Carlos was explaining with this. It's a more accessible version. And I think that that's a good thing. I think what they're trying to do is maybe bring in those non-hobby people that want to play a good game. Sam really also liked their Shadespire and Night Watch and some of those other smaller skirmish miniatures games. So it's not like big overblown Warhammer. It's these little skirmish games that can give you that board game flavor, but you're still getting that the taste of the hobby, because some people don't know if they want to be in the hobby. Sometimes you just don't know. Mm-hmm. This is a good way to dip your toe in. I mean, I think you would agree, Carlos, right? If you were thinking about it, it would be a lower
$50 to get into and put some models together and then decide if you want to throw some paint on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then when you're all done with, those 6, 7, 8 models, you're like, not for me.
Yeah. Yep. But then you still have some nice painted minis that you put together. I don't play Warhammer, but I still have a set of elites that I painted, and I'm proud of them, and I didn't sell them as part of the big set that I ended up getting rid of. I kept them because they serve no purpose, but they sit up on the top of the calyx, and it's they're nice minis, and I could use them for something else potentially down the road. But yeah, I would play this for sure.
Nice.
And size-wise, it's so compact. I mean, I've played this at a pub table while enjoying beers. Like this is a nice compact version of Blood Bowl that you can show up with a buddy. Man, I wish we lived in the same city, Brandon.
I know. I literally, seriously, we'd meet up because Blood Bowl was very sprawling from what I remember. But
Yes.
this looks more accessible. And I think for me, where I'm at right now with Games Workshop and not really being into Warhammer anymore or Age of Sigmar, just being like looking at their little skirmish games and because I can use these models in Kill Team, by the way, because it's one of those things, it's plug and play. As long as they have rules for it, you can just sort of modular. And that is what's neat about Games Workshop. It gets confusing, but at the same time, for a beginner, this kind of like Ultimate Edition set where you just get everything in this compact little package. That's really nice.
They added big guys. So the first two versions of Blitz Bowl didn't have the big guys. You didn't have the trolls. You didn't have the ogres.
Okay.
You didn't have the Croxigors, the giant lizard men. In this edition, now you get the big guys. So you get to really pound and ground, That's good stuff. I'm excited.
Orc boys?
Wifey's already confirmed she's put this on pre-order for me for birthday. So
wow.
Nice.
I'm upset because I wanted to go buy it like ASAP, and now I just got to wait for whenever she gets it in.
Do they have the Orc boys though? Can you play as the Orc
there
boys?
are not Orc boys. They have an equivalent. I would say the Black Orcs would be the team that I would recommend. They're all big orcs that just they are horrible at holding the ball. That's not their game. They don't pick up the ball. They leave the ball alone. They have little goblins that they keep on their team as well. They manage holding the ball, but the remainder of the team are just big guys. And the idea is if I can pound the other team into the ground, okay, we can score after that.
Yeah, right. The little goblin will just run down and score.
Yep, that's the idea.
Funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of humor in
it's
this.
Just upsetting that it's exclusive to Barnes and Noble. Like GW with this model, I don't get it. I don't get it because I didn't get into Blood Bowl because of Blitz Bowl. I got into Blitz Bowl or Blood Bowl and then heard about Blitz Bowl. So you think it exclusives by Barnes and Noble? They're paying them?
It's money. It's money.
Because I can see this selling like
paid them. Yeah.
This is like a order to #1 with fries at the FLGS. Like if I could buy Blood Bowl, they'd easily sell me a $40 kit to play in 30 minutes in between games. Yeah. But they can't do that. My FLGS can't sell me this game.
Wow, that's terrible.
It is.
Yeah, Games Workshop does stuff like that because their customer service is really where I have the problem with them. It's not their product. Their product is very premium. They know how to make minis. And you know what's ironic is the game that got me into board gaming, and I don't mean to go off on a tangent, I'm sorry, but like there was Hero Quest. Hero Quest was made by Games Workshop. That's what people don't like. It was published by Milton Bradley, like back in the 80s, but it was a Games Workshop game. So I literally, and their minis, the minis in Hero Quest are phenomenal. Like they're phenomenal. And that's like 40 years ago. Is my math right? Yeah, about 40 years ago. So I'm old. But anyway, it's one of those things where they know what they're doing and they know it. That's why they alone can get away with making exclusive deals with Barnes and Noble. They know they're going to tick some fans off, but I don't think they really care.
No, because they have that what I would call that FU money.
Yes.
Like I don't care about what you think, even as fans of my game.
That's right.
Right. Even as like people who keep me in business, I don't care what you think. We're going to do what we do because we got it like that. That's the feeling we get from them.
They have the pedigree. They have it. Yeah, they have the market in that. So yeah, I get that.
Like Simon.
All right,
almost so like Simon.
We'll close it out with one more game, and then I'm going to go around real quick, and I'll keep my game short. We're going to go around real quick, and then just get everybody's vote on every game, just hands up or not, right? If whether or not you'd buy it, I think that'd be a good way to close it out, just to see what we all think.
So we can revisit it in 6 months.
Yeah, I want to see if you all ended up getting it or not. So the game I'm going to talk about though is one that we've actually been playing recently.
Yes, we have.
And it is just an absolutely amazing experience.
I feel bad I missed this. I missed it.
Well, you have a chance.
Yeah.
Don't you? Don't they have a chance?
I don't know. I don't know if there's
Retail.
I thought the pledge manager was opening again.
Yeah. I don't know.
See.
So ISS Vanguard, we had gotten the game probably about a week and a half ago, and it's been living on our table for the last week and a half, and basically it is probably the greatest space just role-playing adventure RPG game out. ever. Like if you're into managing your like main ship up in space and your crew, and then sending an away team down on a planet to do exploration and challenges and battles, and then they get back up to the ship, and then you do it all again and manage the crew when they come back, and you research tech, you research science projects, you take then the research you've gotten, turn it into production, create upgrades that'll be upgrades for your ground crew, upgrades for your ship, your lander. You'll upgrade to, there's like 6 or 7 different landers you can upgrade throughout the game. There's got to be at least 150 or more crew members that they let you choose from. It's insane. The stack of cards that came with this game is just, it took me like 2 hours just to get everything unpacked and sorted so I could even get it to the table to figure it out at that point.
I love that.
It is, the whole experience is unbelievable. Now you've got your choice. Now people say, oh, well, it's an app game. Well, it is, and it isn't, because you don't have to use the app to do the adventures. They give you a logbook that has all the logs, and you just read them. Go to your logbook number and read it. It tells you. Or you can have the app up and just dial it in, and it's all fully voice acted. They tell you exactly what you need to do.
Yeah.
So we've played through the full tutorial, and then we played through the full first mission. And now we're ready to do the next mission, the third mission, where we've got through 2 full cycles of down to the planet, extract, go back to the ship, do all the stuff on the ship, go back to the planet and do it again.
And when we talk about doing the ship stuff, like you're not, it's not just like a refresh round that you get in like a normal game where you're like, all right, guess I'll just clean up these cards and clean up those cards and put out some new stuff. This is like, you have a bind, like a trapper keeper level binder that is like taking you through each of these ship steps. And there's even a memorial wall for your people who have died.
Yeah, like it's and like you have crew that you actually on your ship you'll apply to different stations to upgrade your production, to speed up your research, and then they're used up and they're spent and they're resting, and you can pick them up later, and they can't go down to the ground mission. But the guys in the ground mission are the ones that are getting the experience that you'll actually level up, and as they rank up, you'll get more dice and they become more powerful.
I have to interrupt you, Anthony. This is Mass Effect, the board game.
Yeah, it basically is.
That, I'm telling you, I love Mass Effect.
Me too.
The first game mainly, but like that's exactly what you do. You pick your crew before you go down to the planet, and they're the ones leveling up. And then when you get and you cycle
through with the guys who couldn't come down with you, and then level them up. And then each character can level up twice, so there's like up to 3 ranks. And then and the stronger the rank they are, they give you better benefits up on the ship or down on the planet.
Yeah,
and you'll end up
you can end up using them on the ship to do when you're doing your ship upgrades to kind of give you benefits in the different areas of upgrading your ship, whether it's research or taking care of your people, like that kind of thing.
The amount of content in this game is just, it's baffling to me.
Real quick, what's the end game? What's the end game? Does this not get kind of samey?
I don't know.
I guess the end game is the campaign.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, so this is
going down, you're coming up, you're going down, you're coming up. I mean, you're just building the ship?
So there's stuff that's happening up in space. Okay. And the story opens with you're kind of like, you found this like nebulous sort of blown up planet thing. And then based on the trajectory that your story takes, it takes you through a narrative all the way to the end, which we haven't reached the end yet, obviously. But you kind of resolve, I'm assuming, understanding what's going on. So you're learning little secrets along the way about what happened. But it's kind of like if you're watching a movie and like you started out with this like, oh my gosh, where are we? What happened? What is this thing that we found? The more like each scenario you go through, there's more questions, and then you get answers to those questions, but then there's more questions after that. So I don't know. It's very, like you said, it's very video game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it branching storylines? Like, are there multiple pathways?
You can, So you basically have a system book that you travel through, and each page is a different system. And in each system, there's like 4 or 5 things you can do. You can go, and from that system, you can go to your choice of other systems. And then you go to that other system, and then it'll tell you where you can land, and you go to land, and then you go and you do the whole landing thing, right? So you're probably going to do that. I'd say this game is probably about 40 to 60 hours worth of content, maybe more, which is chunky. right? Because you're talking at least 20 landing missions, which take you 1.5 to probably to 3 hours. I'm sure it gets really thick later on. Plus, that whole ship part between missions is minimal an hour.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you played the new Tainted Grail or Tainted Grail at all?
Yes. We just
did
a
a
video
playthrough
on
of that.
On the new one, the second one.
Yep.
So how would you compare the same thing, story driven campaign? How would you compare the two? And
this is chunkier by far.
Oh wow.
Like the thing is, like, you go up, you have the ship phase where you're doing the ship stuff, then you have to land your ship, which is like a whole nother section. So like before you get to the planet, you've got to decide, you have to figure out like, all right, based on the lander that I picked and the crew
and what equipment you brought
on the ship, now I've got to land the thing.
Yeah.
And then I can go do my mission. Right. And I might have left what I packed in my ship, or I might not,
depending on and like we just for example, we just upgraded to a new lander. The other lander was more nimble, but it held less gear, so it was easier to land. The one we've got now is a big bulky thing. It's a transporter, so it's going to be tougher to land, but it can hold almost twice the amount of goods. So it's like, all right, do we bring much more equipment so it's easier on the ground, but have a rougher landing?
But you need those goods because when you're on the planet, you only have so many rounds. Basically, you can only rest so many times.
Yeah,
because unless you find supplies on the planet.
But you don't know. So it's like, you don't know how rough it gives you sort of ideas of what the planet is going to be like. And then you're trying to gather like resources on a planet that you bring up and you use those resources to do upgrades on the ship. Like it's crazy. Like the amount of stuff going on.
Wild.
It sounds like completely cooperative.
It is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, you have 4 characters you bring down. If you're a single player, you can play with, I believe, 2. But if you go to 2 players or more, you have to play with 4.
Yeah.
So we played 2 characters each. Because you have to run 4 different stations. You've got like security, you've got
recon,
research, like you get like your science person, your engineer person, who are all have different dice. But it's a lot of it's dice rolls, and you upgrade those dice, and it's also cards. You have a whole deck. Each station has their own deck of cards that you upgrade as well. It's crazy.
How does it delineate the decision space between the players to prevent the alpha gaming?
Well, basically, each player commands their station. So if you are the engineer station, when it's the engineer's turn, they go and they make all the decisions. Mm-hmm. The only thing that the commander of the mission determines is the play order for that round.
Nice.
They say, "Okay, I'm going first," and that's it.
Is there dice mitigation? You said it's dice rolling. Is there
There's
dice
a lot
mitigation?
of dice mitigation. Yep, with your cards, with the rolls. You get a lot of your cards let you do re-rolls. A lot of your symbols, depending on your character, can be converted into other symbols. So you've got a lot of mitigants there.
You can in the die pool. The dice pools are unique for each character, and then as you upgrade your characters, you'll get new dice. You can pick new dice to kind of upgrade your skills. If you need a certain die that has certain symbols on it because your person isn't great with shields or something, let's say you can
like Tidal Blades. Tidal Blades is like that.
Okay, right. Yeah. And if you need symbols, let's say that you maybe you're not heavy, and if I'm not a science guy, but I'm doing a science task, but Anthony's character is the science guy and he's in my spot as well. On my turn, he can actually share dice with me.
I can roll. I can help her by rolling one of my dice.
So it's like fully
I play games like that.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of you can roll as many dice as you want.
Yeah.
But when your dice are all spent, you have to rest because you don't have any more dice to roll.
Right.
And then you get your dice back. And every time you rest, you use supplies. And so you only have so many supplies. You really have to think about how many dice do I want to roll here and kind of spread out, how many times we rest as a group, because once you're out of supplies, you're out of supplies. You got to go. You can't finish.
Are you filming your playthroughs?
What's that?
Are you filming your playthroughs?
No, we are going to film this 3rd mission as our playthrough. We weren't sure quite when to actually do the filming, but we wanted to get one that's a little bit further out.
We have an ISS video of the prototype, and I think we played through the first mission, because as we were playing through it again, I'm like, I kind of remember this mission a little bit, but this one will be brand new.
Yeah, so this one hopefully will be one that aren't. We wanted it to be a video where there aren't a lot of other playthroughs of it, right? Because assuming most folks are going to do either the tutorial or the second mission, because they're, how far are you going to play before you want to film? Because it's like, but I'm like, I don't want to rush the video out.
The further you go, though, the more spoilers too, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And the first 2 missions, there's a lot of tutorial-ish hand-holding through it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're not going to see all the mechanics fully, which we thought by the 3rd mission you should see everything.
Yeah. So you get a feel.
And it may not be the planet you choose to go to.
Exactly.
On your third mission.
Because it is kind of branching.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's not linear. You're not going, okay, chapter 3, this is what you're doing.
Yeah, you have choices. So,
Yeah.
So sandboxy in the sense of where you go.
Well, not completely wide open sandbox, but more or less, okay, in this system, from here you can jump to these 2 other systems.
Yeah.
And then you pick one of those 2, and then from that system you could jump to other systems, and then it'll branch that
It's
way.
like that little
and you can always go back.
Little turtle sandbox.
Yeah.
Not a whole beach.
It kind of guides you, but it's not fully on rails, which is cool.
I like this really quick overview of ISS Vanguard. It's been fantastic. Thank you, Anthony. This is great. Yeah, I feel like I can play the game right now. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Aren't you pumped?
Wait, I can come back. You invited me to New Jersey, but it fell through.
Look, you're welcome anytime. Any of you, actually. You just let us know when. So that's ISS Vanguard. That's our game. So we're really stoked for this. And I think if you can get your hands on this one, this is like there's a no-brainer on it. The box for this thing is just ridiculous how heavy it is. So, but that we're gonna do a quick go around. We'll do a vote on whether or not you plan to get this game. As we talk through them, just hands up or not, and then we'll call it. So, start with the first one. Revive. How many of you are interested in picking up Revive?
Yeah, I'll pick up.
We're one.
We're good. That's a unanimous on that.
That's the answer. Carlos said no.
You said no? Oh, that was a thumbs down. Oh, I didn't see that.
Get 'em all.
I thought he was
Not enough dice chucking,
All right. How about Birdwatcher? Wow. Now we're all down on that.
Head, I'm telling you.
Undaunted Stalingrad.
It's a no for me, but I know
makes me sad. But
I'm gonna give that a maybe. I need a little more research, and if I can get it at a discount, I'll try.
If I bust out my old DVDs and watch some Enemy at the Gates,
then you're in.
then I'm probably get hyped up.
Good film. No one ever mentions that film. That's a great film.
Yes.
And it's gonna make me want to buy Stalingrad.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. All right, Woodcrafters.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, this is
Gary's in.
This is an I'm sad I didn't get it
Carlos
the other
is
day.
a maybe. 3,000 Scoundrels.
I know I'll never get it out to the table.
Oh, not
I
that
would
you can.
3,000 Scoundrels, Gary?
Yeah,
Is that
probably a no for me. I know.
He's the only one. You got to let us know how that is,
He's
Gary.
in the game. I'm telling you, he's in the game.
You're promoted. I don't know if you knew that.
All right, Rise.
This one's gonna be like I don't know. My thumb's weird.
I think I'm gonna go. I'll give that an up.
It's an item.
You need to see your doctor.
I'm not sure. That looks like an up thumb.
Mine.
All right.
It
Delicious.
A lot.
Where are we at with Delicious?
I would say yes, actually, because
Here we
price point, and also this Christmas is coming, and this might be a gift for
All right,
somebody.
there you go. Wormholes. Well, we got to say yes because
Yeah, because I already bought this one. So.
I'm curious. I'm very curious.
All right.
I don't have a lot of pick up and deliver games, and I do like space
I like
games, and I
pick
like
up.
hexes.
See what if you don't have space Deep Space Foundry,
Far Space Foundry.
Far Space Foundry, and you like pick up and delivery, look into that one.
Yeah.
It's much chunkier than Wormholes.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Or Outer Rim. That's my favorite.
Outer Rim
That's
too,
my
yeah.
favorite.
But that's not
space
purely pick up and deliver. Or Firefly. All right,
Anyway.
Astra.
Astra. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm like sort of.
I think you might like it.
I'd probably like it. And actually at $35 price point, I probably would buy it. So
There
I'm
you
going
go.
to say yes.
Mille Fiori.
This one I want to play before I buy it.
I think
So I'm going to say no.
If you're not in the
We loved it. Yeah, we played it. We loved it. So
Yeah, it sounds like
we just need to buy it. That's all.
Yeah.
Ready, set, bet.
I'm not a better.
Yeah, maybe. I'll tell you what. I'd play
I'll
it.
play with you
Play
guys.
it.
Yeah, Gary, you
But
get
I'm
it.
not
We'll
going
play
to
it.
buy it.
Did you guys, Brandon? Did you guys see it? You saw it at Dice Tower Retreat, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
We saw it at the Pittsburgh Con.
Yeah, they were playing at the Pittsburgh Con.
And you're just like, nah.
We
It's
don't
so
ever.
fun.
We don't.
Yeah, it's
We
like,
rarely.
no.
We rarely have 9 people. I will say this though, as just a quick thing. I know we're voting, but somebody else in our church that's in leadership just brought up the idea, and it wasn't me, and I'm so happy about it. Brought up the idea of a family fellowship board game thing, like an event.
Oh, nice.
So we're really excited about it. This is
Everyone's
something.
invited. No.
I don't know if Ready Set Bet with the gambling and like Vegas style chips is going to go over well to church, but it would be a fun thing for that. Like just innocent
Yeah.
fun betting on little wooden horses, I think would be fun. But I think they might like something like that. I think they would have a fun time with it. Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Excellent. So that's
Can't
a yes
wait.
for you. Then you need to pick it up.
We'll let the
Blitz
church
Bowl.
make that decision. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Blitz Bowl.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I'd play it.
Only
Maybe.
with Carlos.
Yeah, I'll play your copy, Carlos.
Yeah.
And then
I
ISS
actually own
Vanguard.
4 copies of each one because I host tournaments for it.
Oh, okay.
That's what I do.
Oh, nice.
I wouldn't be able to get it played much. I don't think she would really like it. She just gave it a thumbs down. So I'm saying maybe, but
It's not
only.
Well, having heard her talk about Memoir 44, I think this might be one.
I would like it, but it's not like that's not my this Memoir
not your
44 is
jam?
not in my top 100. It's not
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Like I like it, but
She doesn't like war themes much, and she doesn't like
Yeah.
football and sports themes much. So it kind of, yeah. So,
All right. Let's close it out with ISS Vanguard then. What do you guys think?
oh my, yeah, I think so.
Worth everything.
What?
Oh, Allie's
What?
a no. Carlos is a no.
Only because wow, we had more thumbs up than every one of you. Just FYI.
Yeah.
I don't want to solo 40, 60 hours. I might as well
I
play
just-
Red Dead Redemption.
You know
2.
what? We started off playing Descent. That's how she got into board games entirely. Like literally, we had no idea. There's no such thing as a gateway game for this one. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
She jumped in with Descent, and we haven't been able to like finish it. And we've been looking for something else to give us a campaign feel.
I like the space
Yeah.
theme.
Yeah, that
I gotta
sounds-
say, that's
that
Yeah,
sounds-
yeah, you guys, you'll love it.
Sounds
You'll
like
love it
Mass
to death.
Effect, the board game. So yeah,
It is.
really-
And the art's very similar too. So
Yeah.
it's right up your alley. So
Allie, is it because it's a campaign?
That's part of it. Like, I don't have a group that I'd be able to do a campaign like that for. So we have Charterstone. And
Okay.
I have a group of 4 people, including myself, to play it, but we've played it once this year, and that's all we've been able to get to the table. We were supposed to do it today, but there was an impromptu soccer game that threw that off. So we're still one game in on a campaign game, and I don't think it's one that I'd want to sit down and play for 3 hours by myself solo.
yeah,
Yeah. And it's not when you'll want to like you'll forget.
It's a
Like,
lot
if
to
you
manage.
were like weeks and weeks, and you come
Yeah.
back to it. It's like, okay, what did we do? What plan are
And there's
we
a
on?
lot. There's a lot of management that you want at least one other person there to help you with. That
Right.
way you can split the load because it's a lot of bookkeeping otherwise.
That's not going to get played.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
we played Charterstone at 2 the whole way through it, just her and I, and it was really fun that way. But it would have been nice to play it with more people. It really
See, we
would.
got through like maybe.
I think we played the first 2.
4,
Yeah, the first 2 maybe, and we just stopped. And I
Yeah.
just,
never picked it
I
up.
wouldn't mind trying it out again. And
We did all 12, huh? And it was pretty cool. It was neat. That was our only legacy game we've ever played.
I just got bored.
Yeah, I got a little
Actually.
bored of it. I don't think it ramped up fast enough for us. But
Yeah.
all right, we're at the 2-hour mark. I think that was a really good chat today. Some really cool games. I think I'd love to go back and see how this turns out, later in the year to see if any of us enjoy these. But
Yeah.
I just want to thank you all for a great episode. This was a really, really good talk.
Yeah. Always fun.
Yeah, it
Yes,
was
it
great.
was.
Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate this. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Glad to be here.
awesome. So again, we're happy to keep doing these. I think they're fun. A really good time to all come together and hear everybody's different opinions on games. It's because there's so many out there, and it's hard to really keep track of them all by yourself, right? And,
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
even here, we learned about 2 or 3 that I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't know about that, but I'm interested now. So I think it's really great.
Yes.
And if you're
Just
watching,
come over to our house. We're buying like 80% of them, apparently.
Yeah, so you
There you
are.
go,
You guys own just about everything, or you've ordered everything.
I think you got permission on video too. So if you need,
I
to
got
rewind
video.
and go
I
back-
did on
References,
most
yeah.
of them. I got lots of permission. So yeah,
There you go.
Blitz Bowl.
no Blitz Bowl.
No blood ball.
No
if you're
Blood Bowl.
watching this, put in a
All right.
comment what you want to see come out in retail if there's something. So,
Thank
Yeah,
you,
for sure.
Gary. Yes. Yes.
People
So
yeah.
if you're watching this
Hit the like
at
button.
home, please let us know in the comments. We're all in there. We're all active, responding to stuff. So
Yeah, love to hear your
let us
thoughts.
know what you're picking up and if we missed anything that is on your list.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. All right. Thanks for watching. We hope to see you next time. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye. Good night, guys.
Bye.
Good night.